So what exactly is a meme coin and how does it work? Welcome back to the Idea Supply Chain, where we take a look at where ideas come from and what makes those ideas valuable. And today we're going to talk about a very specific idea and very specific value because I want to talk about the concept of meme coins. If you're not familiar with meme coins, basically these are cryptocurrencies that have started around a specific idea or meme. The most popular one out there is currently Doge, which got a lot of press when Elon kind of pumped it up. And there are a lot of really interesting mechanisms that are associated with meme coins. And I recently uncovered a new meme coin that really interested me for a number of different reasons because it's doing stuff a bit different. But before I tell you what that is, I want to talk a little bit about how meme coins even function. So, meme coins are particularly interesting because, unlike a lot of cryptocurrencies that are designed to be a store of value, like Bitcoin, or kind of these tokenized ecosystems like Ethereum, meme coins have no particular utility by default. They're just there. Now, that means they're really hard to predict because you don't actually know how popular a given meme coin is going to be. You don't know how much money is going to come into the ecosystem. You don't know how much money is going to flow out of the ecosystem. And that's why they're terribly bad investments from the standpoint of anybody who's a serious investor, because there's just way too much risk associated. But there's also the potential for extremely high returns, which can occasionally attract people. And when you're looking at coins as a purely speculative asset, there's a chance to make some real money, and that's typically how people invest. Now, the problem ends up coming in when there are whales in an ecosystem, because a lot of times the way pricing dynamics work is it's all a function of supply and demand, right? So if you have a limited supply and a high demand, the price is going to be high because people are going to have to compete for what they're willing to pay in order to get a limited supply. Whereas if you've got a high supply and no demand, prices are pretty much nothing because anybody can kind of get them and they're just there. That's why you can't use things like leaves as currencies, because there's leaves everywhere. Everybody has them. And, it doesn't really hold any kind of value there. So it becomes interesting when you start talking about like the tokenomics of different coins, because for example, Bitcoin has a fixed supply. There are a maximum of 21 million Bitcoins that will ever be mined. It's the maximum that there are in circulation. And in reality, there's actually fewer than that because there's a bunch that have been lost to all sorts of random wallets that have been abandoned throughout the years. But when you look at something like Dogecoin actually has an infinite supply. So they keep minting more. And so that makes it actually very hard to price because, there's just going to be this constantly increasing supply. And so you don't really know what the value is actually going to be at any given point in time because of this constantly increasing supply. Kind of everybody can have them. And so you have to really increase demand at least as fast as you're increasing the supply if you want the price to go up. And that makes things really hard to do. So with kind of that introduction to meme coins, I want to talk about a new meme coin that I discovered. And it's called Tetherball Coin. And normal disclaimer, not financial advice in any way, but I wanted to share what Tetherball is doing because I thought it was really interesting. So the first thing that really stood out to me with Tetherball Coin is that the founding team is fully doxed. You know who the team is. You know the people behind it. Um, and because of that, I can safely say that it's a women-led team, which is also something very different from most crypto communities. Tends to be a very heavily male-dominated field. And so with just these kind of two initial points of data, I was like, oh, this is interesting because it's different. Um, but then what really shocked me is the level of like transparency that they're shooting for. So they released this detailed analysis of how they're building out the Tetherball ecosystem and how they see all of these different like tokenomic principles play into it. So they're doing a fixed supply of coins. So, okay, we know how many uh, coins that are going to be maximum. So you can kind of do some market cap calculations around what that could potentially end up looking like. Um, but they also have a very strong community aspect, which stood out to me too. And this is a community where I think there's some real value there for a few different reasons. So, again, the founding team is docs, so that is helpful. But also, they're a very, very positive community. And I don't know if you spent much time in crypto communities, but they can be pretty toxic places. Um, a lot of times, information asymmetry is wielded a bit like a weapon. If you don't understand the terms being used, um, you tend to be looked down on. People aren't always particularly helpful. Because for a lot of these kind of crypto communities, the value was in getting the next set of suckers to buy. With Tetherball, that isn't the case because they don't necessarily need a ton of money coming in right away. They actually have some VC backing, and they actually are very heavily invested in the education component, which again, it goes into like they've got this detailed analysis that they've written up. They talk about choosing to build on top of the Solana ecosystem as opposed to like Ethereum. And they're really working to make it more accessible to more people. They want people to understand the value that crypto can provide the world, and they want people to understand how these different mechanisms work. And so they're bringing in a lot of knowledge and experience into this very, very welcoming community that is easy to access. They've got plans for really building out an abundant set of resources, specifically accessible to holders of the coin. So they're building courses around some of these ideas that you can then, redeem Tetherball coin for. And so I think that's an interesting idea. And this is actually ties back into one of the other projects that I supported pretty early on, also in the Solana ecosystem, but instead of kind of doing a coin, they did an NFT drop. And those were the Decentralians. And kind of Invisible College was the name of the community. And I think they're actually still going. But I will say the NFT I've got from that has dropped in value, something like 98%, maybe 99. I don't know. I haven't actually looked at the value lately. But it's way down there. And, as I said, I think the community is still going a little bit, but it definitely wasn't as valuable as I thought it'd be. And that's one of the things you don't actually know with a lot of these projects. But when I see a community with a bunch of positive energy like this and a focus on long-term behaviors, it really ties in well to the concepts of abundant systems that I talk about, because this is like the purest expression of an abundant system. You have this currency tied to a very positive community, and the value is going to hopefully go up because of more people spreading the ideas around Tetherball coin, increasing the demand. The supply is fixed. It's going to be coming out on set schedules. There's a lot of transparency around it. And so I don't think the price is going to skyrocket as fast as a lot of other meme coins. But I think that's actually a good thing, because the faster prices rise, the faster they can fall. And then you get kind of the whale type of behavior when you get large investors that come in, because then they can swing entire markets with their behavior. And you end up really losing control of that, because if a whale all of a sudden sells off a lot of their position, it kind of triggers a rush on the market, because the prices drop because suddenly they're selling a large number of tokens. That increases the available supply above what typically demand can support, and so the price drops rapidly. And this is why you end up with a lot of like pump and dump schemes, because what you do is you have somebody with a large number of tokens. They really pump the token. It gets a lot of eyeballs on it. The price goes up, and then the big holders dump all of their coins, sell off as much as they can, and you're left with the latecomers kind of holding the bag. And if you read the book that I recommended a couple of weeks ago now, Crypto Confidential, Nat Eliason talks a lot about these kind of phenomenon happening. And early on in these kind of crypto days, that was a pretty common thing. And you kind of essentially understood what was typically happening with a lot of these. But the goal was to get in as early as possible and just not be the last one holding the bag. And that created some really negative cycles around crypto. And Tetherball Coin at least feels different. And again, I'm still pretty new to the community. I'm exploring it, but it feels like a very high potential project because of the transparency. And again, it's like when people are doxxed, when they have their identities tied to a project, it's a lot easier to have trust in it, because guess what? If the founding team were to screw everybody over, that's going to have negative effects for their future, most likely. Again, people know who they are. They have a track record. They don't want to ruin that. And reputation is a powerful thing. So when your reputation is actually staked according to a project, you're at least more inclined to behave according to positive sum principles. Relationships are very much an abundant system. You want to put in more than you take, because that is a positive sum experience for everybody involved. It's an infinite game. The goal is to keep playing, not to win. A lot of crypto is designed to be a game designed, you try to win. You try to get out at the top of the market before it all collapses. And that is a very unhealthy economic system. So in this case, I really have some excitement for Tetherball. I'm really intrigued. I'm kind of studying it. I want to do a case study along the about the project and how it's working. And so I'm going to be tracking it closely to kind of see what happens with it, because it feels like a very, very positive addition to the crypto world that has gotten a lot of really bad negative press lately. And you know what? I see a lot of value with crypto. I've tended to avoid it because of a lot of the negative kind of things I see associated with it. But I don't discount it completely, because I think there is a lot of potential there. And I'm really excited to see if Tetherball can actually be a great example of what crypto can be. And right now I believe it is, and they haven't done anything to show me that it isn't. So excited to see where this goes. I'll drop some links in the description as well, so you can kind of follow along with the journey. And I hope you follow it, and maybe you'll end up finding something worth being a part of. And that's it for today. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.